97 was a year after Mario Kart 64 came out. So I'm just putting it out there that was a bad time for 3D visuals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. Oh, you got Tomb Raider films. They were pretty cute.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about those.
Yeah, sweet.
I got a lot. All right, Jace, man.
So,
Oh fuck!
this is basement.
Wait.
Oh fuck!
We haven't
Ruined
done
it!
We haven't done the clap at all.
Oh shit!
It's gonna be
Yeah,
real
okay.
hard for me.
3,
Technically, that'll probably
2,
work because he's got his multi-track, but we'll.
3, 2, 1. Fuck. Why? On the 1. So let's
it's
go
mostly on
3, 2, and then on 1 we clap. All right.
Okay.
We did.
I thought
I
we
did.
Yeah. No, you didn't. You were the only one who
You
didn't.
did not.
I went 3, 2, and then on the 1 I went bam as I was saying 1.
Yeah, and that was like a week early
the
for
fuck?
us.
This isn't out of sync. 3, 2,
2,
1.
1. Okay, now Brady's like a week out.
Oh my
But who
god,
cares?
that's gonna be
He'll
terrible.
figure it
It'll
out.
still work now.
So yeah. Basement Discourse. I'm Jace, the gamer Jace. There's cartoon Jace over there. And then we've got Dice Jace.
Oh, right.
Jason Discourse.
Jason Discourse.
Alright, so today I rewatched possibly the most magical movie of all time, Super Mario Brothers, featuring
thought you were gonna
Bob
say
Hoskins
Neverending
and
Story.
John Leguizamo.
Okay.
No,
Wait.
that is a book adaptation.
I'm not
though,
sure.
Neverending Story?
Yeah.
I think it actually is a book.
I think it's a book.
Anyway.
But more importantly, we need to talk about the most blurst movie ever. So, firstly, Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo are like the most amazing cast for Mario and Luigi. And then they got the worst script writers and directors you could possibly put in a fucking room. And they're like, make it happen.
I need to go back for a sec.
Just went downhill from there.
When you said blessed,
No.
do you mean blessed and
Blessed.
cursed?
Correct.
Okay, cool. I'm not even going to argue it. I just needed to check that that's what the meaning was.
Yeah, blessed content. So yeah. So I was thinking about that, and then I was like, adaptations, what else, is good and bad? A great example in my world, Max Payne. Fucking awful. I remember seeing the trailer for that movie and hearing Mark Wahlberg, of all people, I fucking hate him as an actor, but hearing him narrate as Max in the trailer, I was like, oh my god, this could be fucking amazing.
I thought you were going to say it sounds so
he had,
bad with the New York accent going on, like the thick accent.
No, because it's set in New York. So that was sort of on par. And he had this perfect grizzled tone that was just like Max. And then you watch the movie and they just pooed all over the plot. They just left out important shit and then changed random shit. It doesn't even fucking matter in that movie. They're just just do random shit.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. Another thing that reminds me of
when I
that is
talk-
Constantine as well. That was another one from that era of strange
So
film.
Was
But anyway.
This is Keanu Reeves one,
It's
right?
Constantine.
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
I didn't
Yeah.
mind it.
So
I didn't mind
they're
it.
doing a
Was that
sequel now,
Yeah,
which
there
is
is
bizarre.
there
But
is word.
my thing is, that movie on its own is not awful. It's that it's a Constantine adaptation that makes it bad. To me. Because Constantine is an English
Oh, because
blonde...
it's a graphic novel, isn't it?
Yeah. But just that it's not Constantine in a lot of ways. He's English for a start. And, he's blonde, he swears a bunch, whereas a lot of that was... They pulled bits of it out, but not all of it. And I just felt like... I love Keanu. I just didn't find him Constantine. I just found he was a cool Exorcist story, and I was okay with that.
Yeah, I get ya.
It just wasn't Constantine to me.
Yeah, I dig. Yeah. Anyway, Jace, you're on a bit of a run there, so sorry I interrupted. Continue, sir.
Oh, you just fucking
Please
tearing me
continue.
apart. Now I've completely forgotten where
Why are
I'm
you
at.
polite tonight? Whoa. Is it because we're Jason at Discourse tonight?
We're all part of the hive.
And Jace loves Jace. What else has been? So I think we briefly touched on Tomb Raider. Now I
Yes.
adore the Tomb Raider games, at least like the original series. The later
Yes.
ones are quite good as well, but they're a very different sort of game. It's like it's weird when it comes to the games because the old ones are like prototype for what would later become Uncharted, and then the newer Tomb Raiders are like, we like what Uncharted did, so we're going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It
with
was
Lara.
Uncharted with Lara.
Yeah.
But I actually like the Uncharted series. Haven't seen the film adaptation
nothing
though, so
wrong
I
with
can't
it.
really comment on that one. But
Neither
I've kind of
have
strayed
I.
away. Like
Um,
I've had mixed reviews come my way, so I don't know.
Did you guys ever see the like? It was like a fan made short, like not quite fan made, but like there was actually a budget in it, and it was a short film called Uncharted that had Nathan Fillion play Nathan Drake.
Yeah,
Drake?
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. So the guy from Firefly played the main character, and it was fucking flawless. And it's like a 10-minute short you can watch on YouTube. Highly recommend it.
I'll check it out.
Everyone was like, when they were like talking about casting or getting rights for the Uncharted movie, everyone's like, got to get Nathan Fillion, got to get him. And they're like, no, we're not doing that. And he was like, I would so do it.
Oh no. So I saw the movie. I had many issues with it. Not the least of which, Mark Wahlberg plays the mentor.
Isn't he like supposed to be an old as fuck dude in the games?
He is. Mark Wahlberg could have done, to be honest, Nathan Drake. And they get Tom Holland to play Nathan Drake. And I'm like,
It's because he's
fuck,
hot shit.
like, I know
Spider-Man,
Holland is like
you know, like
flavor of the month.
yeah, exactly.
I get it. I do, but he's not quite Nathan Drake to me. I think Wahlberg would have done a better job, but I want to go back to Tomb Raider though, because I have a bit on the Tomb Raider games that I kind of agree with. I like the new games; they were fun. Loved the OGs, absolutely love them. Some of my first PlayStation games. Number 2 with the Great Wall of China, the Dragon. That was my fucking jam. Love the hell out of it. I still like the movies with Angelina.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I thought it was fun.
So do I.
It was so fun. She did the sounds, and then they started basing like new Tomb Raider games on her look anyway.
remember when
even though
like
she was
new
already
metal
close.
scenes
Yeah,
sort of
like
came out too at
Angel
that
of
around that
Darkness
era.
and-
So you had like Korn do the music video with Angelina Jolie for "Did My Time," and that was fucking sick.
Yeah,
that was cool.
that was when like was it? Fuck, who was the record?
Yeah,
label?
Roadrunner just owned
That
everything.
had like
yeah,
all the new
yeah.
metal bands, and like Resident Evil came out,
Yeah.
which the first Resident Evil movie was fucking
Soundtrack for that
first
and
movie was
Apocalypse were also mwah. But we can talk about those in another episode on their
fucking
own,
hell.
I feel, because they are just
Yeah,
amazing.
they could be their own episode. We could do like a game and movie
Marilyn
one for
Manson had a
Resident
huge hand on
But-
first Resident Evil soundtrack too, but we'll talk about that another time.
Evil. So
But also, just hold on.
But then we'll talk about
While
it
we're
another
talking
time.
about Resident Evil.
wait up, more future Jason Discourse stuff coming. But the Lara Croft films with her, like she does the sounds, they have puzzles, like it screamed the games to me in original stories, and I loved that.
Yeah.
And Lara
Yeah.
Croft is one of the few games that I think lends itself really well to live adaptation. Wasn't as big a fan of the new
Yeah.
movie, to be honest, because I don't care
didn't
as
see that.
There's a
much
new movie.
about Lara Croft prequels. Newest. Sorry. I don't care as
Yeah.
much about prequel stuff. I enjoyed the shit out of that game where you're playing as her in the bush and you got to build your own bow. It was a fun game. Don't get me wrong. But I don't like it as much as the OG Tomb Raiders. I liked the
Yeah.
puzzling, lore building, myths.
Yeah, it was very much an Indiana Jones-esque sort of
gunfights
vibe, right?
and-
Like it was down that path
Yeah.
of that.
The OGs were very sort of. I don't know if Indiana Jones is the right example.
It's similar. It's your dungeon delving and all the
Just
rest
more
of it, you know.
modern.
It's that-
Yeah.
They're not even more modern,
Yeah.
different time period.
Well, yeah, obviously, but yeah. So like, it was cool, like, and it focused a lot more on going to exotic locations and looking for crazy things. Whereas, I've only played 2 out of the 3 new Tomb Raiders. I'll get around to the 3rd one when I can be bothered. But those sort of focused a lot more on, oh, this is just a scenario she's in. Oh, but she's also stumbled upon this mythical thing, but you've got to kill a bunch of dudes to get to that bit. And like, I much preferred where she's like, oh yeah, I'm looking for this. And then she's got to go through and like shoot 35 tigers before she gets to it.
Kill all the endangered wildlife that are now endangered thanks to Lara.
Yeah.
So good.
100%.
You gotta run, jump, duck. Quick, the spike wall is coming. Shoot 5 dudes, and then roll out of the way of a polar bear. Like,
sometimes reminds me a little of
sick.
Prince of Persia as well. Like, you get that crossover through the Prince of Persia world at that stage too.
That probably took a lot from
Lara, for sure. I can see the influences.
There actually is an interesting thing about that. So I was actually watching about a video about the 3D Prince of Persia game that absolutely bombed. It was before Sands of Time and all of that, like, reboot series. And that's exactly what they did. They were stealing from Lara Croft. But the problem was that they tried to incorporate, like, the fast-moving action, but they left in the, like, tank controls of Tomb Raider. Like, you know how left doesn't strafe, it turns. So it was just wonky as shit and did not work.
You need that fluid motion for that game, or that style of game. Like,
which, you know, Sands of Time, Warrior Within, all of those.
Warrior Within introduced me to Godsmack. Because it was like the only song that played in that whole fucking game. I really hate that song now. Like, so fucking much.
So,
greatest song ever.
We're on adaptation, so I think we've got to do the one that probably means the most to us recently.
Are we talking about Super Mario?
I hate you guys so much.
Or are we talking about that other one, like that small time game thing, like I don't know, it's like a board game or something.
Was it Monopoly?
Yeah, like Monopoly?
Oh,
Monopoly
it's
3D.
Fantasy Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, with like the slightly similar crew.
No, Fantasy Suicide Squad. That's the one.
We're of course talking about D&D. But before we talk about D&D, here's a word from our sponsors. Today's sponsor is none other than Patsy's Portal Loos, the portable portal toilet that sends your excrement to a randomly generated location somewhere on Earth. Over to you guys.
Well, I've been using it for about a week now, and the biggest problem I've ever had is it randomly relocated it back inside me. I needed to shit immediately afterwards.
That's just indigestion.
But other than that, nope, it was needed to shit twice. Other than that, though, it's been pretty good. I've had complaints of neighbours getting shit logs on their roof, but aside from that, she's all good. Just spray and pray.
So, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes after a long day at work, I really like using that product because it lets me go to sleep. I know I've taken a shit probably on someone or their house or their car, and it sends me right off to La La Land. It's amazing.
I'm unsure. It's unclear as to whether or not you actually need to still wipe, so we will need to clear that up with Patsy's Portal Loos later down the track. But
rumor is that they're bringing out a day adaptation. The problem is that it also works with portals, and no one knows what fluid it is or where it comes from.
It's just washing your ass with your own pee.
I'm just hoping it sprays on a neighbor as well. So, like, you take a dump on, and then it sprays you cleaning.
And then Patsy's Portal Loos has also asked me to play this catchy jingle for you. I'll say it now. Patsy's Portal Loos, make your number 1 and 2s someone else's problem today. Thank you.
That was a terrible
I didn't write it. Patsy's Portal Loos did.
They need to pay us more money.
Thank you for that.
To point out that I absolutely fucking hate the title.
You hate the title?
So,
Honor Among
Dungeons
Thieves.
and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves.
Both parts, yeah. Honor Amongst Thieves is.
Wait, you didn't want them to call the Dungeons and
But-
Dragons film Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, kind of. It has a. Okay.
It has an
okay.
expectation that you're going to have
Hold out
Dungeons
here.
and Dragons in it?
No,
Right.
no. So my big qualm with that is that it seems like a blatant cash grab where you're just expecting shit. Like, I did not, like, prior to seeing trailers and such, I had very, very low expectations of this
Is that
film.
because of the 2000
Purely-
film?
No, I didn't even know there was a 2000 film
Okay.
at
Yep.
that time. So I had low expectations because usually when a film is so blatant to put a brand in it, it's usually just a cash grab. They're like, hey, look at the name. There's a bit of popularity. Let's fucking yeet that. Like, remember there was a Battleship movie with fucking Rihanna?
Yes.
That was fucking
That sounds
awful.
terrible.
Apparently there's some Tetris TV show or movie. I don't know. The moment I saw the ad and everyone just kept saying Tetris, I was like, this sounds like shit. And so it brings up a really bad taste in my mouth to have that as the name. If it was Honor
This
Among
was
Thieves,
not the problem.
A
I had.
D&D
then, like,
tale.
yeah,
Right,
something like
okay.
that, I would have been way more
We-
content with
a
it.
D&D
Now-
adventure, a D&D one-shot. Like, they could have played on it pretty hard.
Yeah, but some people aren't going to
Yeah,
know what a
but,
one-shot
like,
is, and people who don't know what one-shots and haven't played D&D know the words Dungeons and Dragons. They at least know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was
Now,
the thing they needed.
Like, now taking beyond the name, let's actually talk about.
See what you did there with
the
the whole
movie.
Beyond thing, the D&D Beyond. That was clever.
Yep, that was intentional.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he meant that.
Nailed it.
Jason Discourse is on fire. So let's open with what's everyone's
Alright.
thoughts. Like,
I'm going to
when
go
did you
back
come
to
out?
the name. Honor Amongst Thieves is a piss take on the original 2000 film. They say it a few times in the film when certain events. I don't give a fuck about spoiling this film. Don't watch it. It's terrible. They go to an underground thieves guild of sorts and are given a set of tasks to do inside of a maze, which might sound familiar to some people who may have seen other things like the new D&D film. And once they come out of it successful, they're like, you're not getting the prize. Give it back. And they're like, well, is there no honor amongst thieves? And then they have this whole rant. And it's terrible because the whole film is, but I think that's where they took the name from.
Well, that's kind of fun.
So-
that takes too much prior knowledge for me to enjoy.
Yeah, but it's Easter eggs for people who appreciate them. And there's a ton of those throughout the film as well. So continue, sir.
Yeah, so that. Well, okay, so where does everyone stand before we start talking about Easter eggs?
Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a breath of fresh air. I thought it was exciting. I think people who don't know anything about D&D could watch it and still be happy that they watched a nice film. And for people who know lots and lots and lots about D&D, I'm sure they could probably nitpick a few things like the dragon and things like that weren't quite in the right spots location-wise and things like that. But all in all, I think it was fun. They had just the right amount of humor to the point of not being so funny and stupid that you actually didn't give a shit about anything. It was funny, but they still kept the story in check. And I think it was the right type of humor. It was exactly the sort of humor that you would have at your table. Or at least I've recognized similar sort of scenarios. Like the whole bit at the start where he's trying to get the Aarakocra to come to the meeting. Like,
Yeah.
what's his name? I just watched this.
It's like
Was
Steve
it like
or something,
Joseph?
isn't it?
It was
Jackson
something like a really
or something
normal
like
name.
that.
I thought it was Joseph.
I thought it was Steven.
No, it's a J. It's definitely a J. We're just going to pause this to find out.
No, you
Oh,
keep
okay. I
going.
thought we were
Telling
just
a
stopping.
story. I'll get there.
Yeah, so there's moments like with the Aarakocra that are hilarious and just exactly what you would expect a party to do. And the DM, being the DM, would already know they're about to be pardoned, and yet just let it all play out the way that they decide to play it out,
That
sort
was
of thing,
kinda
you know?
fun, yeah.
So
It's Jonathan.
Jonathan,
by the way.
that's it. Like he's just in his backstory, like deep into his backstory, and then every now and then he'd be like, "You know, I'd really appreciate this. Jonathan would really appreciate this. You know where he is?" And like, just continue the story, like just hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved the fact
So
that they
you-
kind of
yeah.
used like puppet style, like old style suits instead of complete CGI. So like the Aarakocra and things like that were old
Practical
school.
effects.
That was awesome. Yeah, I just think there's a lot in it, and if the more you know about D&D, the more you can even enjoy all those Easter eggs. And I don't just mean the tabletop; I mean all varieties of D&D. So there are some references to actual lore of D&D, going back to I think the earliest reference is second edition, but I might be wrong. There might even be earlier stuff. To stuff about the film, and I'm not sure about the films in between, like the ones that went straight to TV, because I haven't watched those yet, but I know there's definitely references to some of the characters sort of, I mean, the main character is very identical to the original 2000 D&D film, in his mannerisms and everything. They're both thieves, and they both kind of get into the same sort of mischief. They also have references there for the TV show. So there's references to the TV show, the film, the actual board game itself, or the tabletop fucking board game, the tabletop itself. So there's
You are
references to
passionately
everything.
A fan.
Absolutely.
I think it's fair to say.
I think it's just fun. And yes, I could pick it apart, and yes, I could be a dick about it, but I'm not going to be, because it was just a lot of fun. And yeah,
That's
someone
my
else can
job.
pick it apart.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, not surprisingly, in our little group here, we have divided opinions. I can tell where Jace is going to sit already because he's allowed us to go first. And that's where you're sitting, Justin. I'm actually Goldilocksing right down the center because I haven't decided if... So I had a good time. I'm sitting on the positive. Nowhere near as much as Justin, but I am sitting on the positive. I haven't decided if I actually think it was good or if my expectations were just so dog shit that it surpassed them into nice.
Have you seen the original?
Does that make sense? Like,
Okay. Because if you've seen the original
So
and you were
I fear
expecting that, then everything is going to be better. Like, so much fucking better.
yeah.
So,
Well, so I thought we were going to get something. There's been a few movies lately that have like almost attempted to sort of emulate this Marvel formula, even though I hate modern Marvel films as well, like anyone else. I honestly just clung in there tightly for the end of the Infinity Saga because I was done with the formula of every movie. And then when that finished, I was like, I'm fucking all of the ones since have been... Doctor Strange 2 got a lot of... I liked because Sam Raimi.
yeah. It was different. It was
That's
different.
it.
It was done different, but yeah, I totally get it.
It was different. I love that it was different,
Yeah.
but aside from that, everything since has just been dog shit. And then the studios that even try to emulate are even worse.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I thought they were going to do with this, because that's what the trailers made it look
That's
like.
right. Especially the original trailer, the very first one that came out, because you got the whole, like, what was that? Oh, that's an owlbear thing. And I was like, fucking hell. Is it going to be like this the whole time?
It felt like...
Yeah.
It did feel like my little joke about, like, Guardians of the Galaxy or Suicide Squad, except fantasy.
Yeah.
But when I watched it, the humor was there quite a lot in those ways, but it was fine. Like you said, it rode the line. The lore dumps were good. They weren't so much that if you didn't like D&D, I don't think you'd have a bad time. Like, you wouldn't be there being like, I don't understand.
Who is this? Like,
I think that was fine.
Yeah.
I'd still argue the same thing I do with every other D&D piece of content, that it didn't feel very D&D to me in some ways. Like, yes, it's the lore being used, and yes, there were some things that seemed like they'd be a low roll or a high roll, but I still just, like, I don't know. I don't mean to shout out our boy, but I think the parody D&D show, One for All, does some of the best version of D&D live action.
But it's because you're physically watching them like spin over to the players. How awkward would this film be if then you spin over to people playing on a tabletop?
No, I know that.
It would kind of
I
break
know that.
the whole...
I'm not suggesting they do that. But I am suggesting that maybe short form doing that is the best D&D can be for my enjoyment.
Yeah,
live
okay.
action. So,
Okay.
nonetheless, I'd definitely be like it's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 for me, not on the lower end. Like, it has to sit in the positive. I feel like a 7 is too high, but it's got to be in the positive for me, so it has to be above
I had a lot of
5,
fun. I'd put it up at a 9, but we'll go over to Jace now. So, yeah.
Yikes.
Okay,
Like, 9
so
for me
first-
has to be, like, top tier. Like, I want to feel happy, sad, like, damn near crying. It needs to pull fucking every emotion.
I don't feel like it always has to be a fucking drama that wins the top of the list for me. Like, you know.
No, but if it's a 9, it's got to invoke
Oh
a
man, it
lot.
invoked a lot of happiness, you know, and like just a whole lot of laughter, and you know,
Okay.
that's okay with me for sometimes.
So first and foremost, Brady.
Yeah, I never like when he tries to
I'd
describe
like
it needs
to
to be
point that
more
one
like
out.
D&D. I just don't know. I don't get it. It's definitely a Brady problem.
So that's the point I want to start with first. The more D&D thing. Like, aside from doing it like the fucking Lego movie, which have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
Like the original Lego movie? That movie was off its tits.
So cool.
Mwah, loved it.
Great.
But that is about the only way I can imagine it being like more D&D.
No, I
the
know
problem
that,
is
and I
the
admit that
D&D is based on
Yeah.
high fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they have their own unique things, but it's still high fantasy. So there is only so much they can do without just
I
I
100% still believe that this was someone's campaign. That's how much I feel like this is D&D. I feel like someone who was part of
absolutely.
writing this, or was the main writer, or something, they played this in real life and then went, fuck, that was good, we should make a film. And then it's been sitting there waiting to be made. Like a lot of different, you know, most adventurers, like when they come to an end, think that could have been a film. Like you just look at it and you go, fuck, that was good. But I feel like this was exactly how this came together as well.
Real quick, as a fun little... Anyone else think that the druid was way higher level than everybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just seems supernatural.
Yeah, her skill set and just general, like, hits she took and everything else. I was like, bitch is, like, high.
I think her and the was it a paladin that they got to the group? I think both of them are supposed to be like the experienced
I think the
PCs.
paladin's meant to be god tier.
Or actually, the paladin. I think there was actually a reference to him being plot
yes,
armor. Yeah. And that's why he walked away. But yeah, like that sort of stuff screams D&D to me, and like I think that's the big thing is that you can't pull away from the immersion of the tale to then make references enough to bring it back to say this is actually a game. It's kind of like the way I see it is it's kind of like watching Lord of the Rings and being mad that you couldn't read a paragraph out of the fucking novel. Like,
no,
it's you're changing media. No, you are completely a game that was literally done with pen and paper.
That doesn't make it a book.
It's still on paper. My point is that you can't have these interchanging mediums and then just be like, oh,
no,
that's not like the other medium. I
did say in my little review piece in my 5 fucking minutes there that I know this is a me
It's
problem.
definitely a you problem, I've got to say.
With D&D.
There's also...
And it's because...
There are subtleties that...
It's because of the OG
There are subtleties in there as well that if you play D&D or if you DM, probably more so, you will notice things like when they're having the fight nearish the end, she's casting, the big bad is casting at some stage, she's casting some sort of a holding spell or something. I can't remember exactly what she's doing. And the druid shoots a little slingshot pellet at her, and I think it's like a fucking lump of garlic or something hits her in the face. And at that moment, the spell stops because you can tell that she's broken concentration on the spell. It's like little things like that throughout as well. Like, you know,
no, I did
like
notice
it's
these
got a
things.
real
It's not
spell
like I
vibe.
didn't think they were D&D
You could literally write the
It's
spells
they-
down as to what they cast throughout that film
Yeah.
if you really wanted to break it up, as someone I'm sure has already. But
yeah, and like you could also like pick moments where even like certain saves
for sure.
and stuff
Yeah.
were implied. Like I think there was a lot of like whoever oversaw like either the storyboarding process or even possibly the director themselves may have been a very, very big D&D fan, and there's definitely a lot of love.
The failed
game.
illusion of him performing something to me just screamed like the DM wanted a really high roll for you to pull this off. How many people you were distracting?
Fantastic.
And you got real close, so the D&D let you. So the DM let you think it had
up
worked,
until a point, yeah.
and then it failed.
I'm almost certain that's
Like
also
that-
where he breaks concentration because he trips at that point.
Yeah, because he steps in the.
Yeah,
He
so
got
there's
his
another
foot stuck in the
concentration
hole.
break there as well. So yeah, there's a couple of cool examples
Yeah,
of use.
so-
It's not that I didn't think it adhered to D&D rules. It's that for me to see something adapted,
You
from a
literally
game
have
as
to see it
opposed to
adapted
book,
from a
as opposed
game to a yeah.
Kind of. I don't know. And I know that that's ridiculous. Like, that's why I said, because if it's a movie that doesn't work, it only really works in the short forms.
Yeah, One for All do the best job
I know that.
of that, though. That particular style, for sure. That is great. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair,
absolutely.
they don't always flash back to the table. They've been doing a lot of recent stuff now where it is
in
just
that world,
the cosplayed realm.
But in saying that, like, I definitely see like a lot of love in that film. It was quite funny. The story was fine. Like, I didn't find myself like,
what's gonna happen next?
Oh my god!
Yeah,
And like I kind of predicted everything
but
that was going to happen.
As a DM,
I won't spoil
you
it,
need to write a story that is going to be somewhat able to be somewhat predicted or interpreted by your players. So again, that goes back to the DM / the story writer or whatever it is that, you know, the plot writer of that has done a very similar thing to make it also play out similar to a D&D campaign where things are obvious, but they're not always going to be the obvious thing that they should always do. In the case of where they do a massive throwback to the 80s TV show when they're in the maze, which was awesome. You get to see a little bit of, a huge Easter egg of all of the cast basically dressed up as the old 80s crew in the maze as well as a bunch of adventurers, and they do the typical 1980s hero thing, and they go straight for the thing that they're told that they need to go straight for, which turns out to be an obvious trap. But the new team are going, no, it's too obvious. Like, let's do this instead. So, you know, that's pretty cool too. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, all in all, I thought it was a good film, but not an amazing film. It's definitely something like lighthearted that you can slap on and have a good time, enjoy it. I don't have any like insane criticisms about it. I don't think it was the best film ever made, but it was definitely enjoyable and it was funny. And really, that's all I expected.
So if you have to number it as well, where are you going?
I'd probably put it around a 7.
Yeah, so
because I reserve my 9s and 10s for like shit that is just next level, like something that I could watch every fucking day.
Yeah,
like Super Mario Brothers with Bob Hoskins.
Jesus.
Is there any other adaptions we want to go through?
Have you guys seen the Super Mario or no? Yeah.
Not the new one.
Goddamn.
Nah.
But I don't. Is that? It is
absolutely. It's amazing. Jack Black does a fantastic job.
I know, but
and honestly, Chris Pratt
a bit strange
actually did
animated,
really well. And I think there's this moment right near the start where they do this like this bit where there's a trailer comes out in the normal world where Mario and Luigi work and are to start off with, and an ad comes out and he's talking like the original Mario, and he's like, "Oh, come on, Luigi, we go fix the plumbing," and like they're doing the ridiculous over the top Mario words, and then like it pans out from the ad and they're like, was that a bit too much? And then OG Mario like chimes in, he's like, "No, it's a fantastic." And you're like, that was fucking great. And it kind of does a bit of a piss take on the fact that Chris Pratt is not the original Mario, and this is actually what Mario sounds like now. And get over it. So it was brilliant. Yeah. It was really well done.
I will watch it. It wasn't something I was ready to rush
Do
to the
it. It's
cinemas
fun.
for.
It's great. I'm having a lot of fun with these new adaptations of these films. So
I would just like to point out that I fucking hate Chris Pratt, so it's gonna be a.
I
it's gonna be
honestly
a
forgot
big
it was even
struggle
Chris
for me.
Pratt. And Jack Black, like, you don't really recognize his voice all that
Yeah,
much.
Jack Black's
it,
fucking
it actually
amazing.
kind of it almost surprised me, but then you hear him sing and you're like, oh, that's Jack Black for sure. And then you get the Peaches song stuck in your head for fucking weeks, and that's all you're gonna hear for weeks, literally. So yeah. I will revert back to the Dungeons and Dragons 2000 film though very quickly. They spent $45 million on that film and they got $33 million back. So that was fantastic for them.
Return on
That
investment.
was the year 2000, and the year 2001 saw the first Lord of the Rings film come out. And yeah,
Oh, that's a brutal
comparing the
comparison.
two at any level is just absolutely insane. The OG Lord of the Rings spent 98 million, so they did double the budget. However, they took 898 from the box office, so it just goes to show those extra pennies spent were very well spent. So
I'd also like to point out that in 1999, the first
damn.
Matrix film came out. So how's that for a fucking
Holy
kick in the
heck.
dick for CGI?
Yeah.
And the budget was 63 million, so only
Yeah.
$20 million more. And it made 467
man, so
million in the
expectations for
box
D&D
office.
film were up. Like, they must have been like, we're about to roll. Like, yo, this is going to be our retirement. And it just so was not.
Fucking roll.
Well, they got the guy from Scary Movie to play the sidekick. Like,
Which was
I
Lord of Baines
cannot
or
fucking
something.
remember. It's the stoner dude out of the Scary Movies. The what's up? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I think
so
that was
bad
Baines,
in
brother.
so many ways. And sadly, the star actor of the film, no, he's not dead. That would be, a service for this film, honestly. He did one more film, I believe, after this, and it was National Lampoon's 2, and then he stopped acting. That was his sudden realization that, hey, I'm actually not good. I should probably stop. Like,
Yeah, well, okay, so if he was featured in a National Lampoon's that was
Correct.
after the year 2000, that just those movies sucked after like
because
the
they were all
third
the
one.
same.
That was in like 1990 or so. Like, yeah, wow. If you,
Yeah.
that's I'd be out
It's
too.
got
Yeah,
bad
no,
written all over
straight
it.
up.
It's
But-
honestly so terrible to look at and to watch, and I can't find anything interesting.
On the upside, though, he
Yeah,
would
well, I
have
mean,
been
they spent
paid.
45 million somewhere, and it definitely wasn't on the great CGI. So
Yes. All right. Well, I think we're about out of time for adapting things. It could be another
Yep.
part though, to be honest, because there's a lot of things that I've seen get,
I think we
do
definitely
another
could,
part
especially
to
after
this.
you guys see Mario. There's a ton more that we could look at. So
Yeah, so probably next year,
Shit.
because that'll be around the time I can get
Good
around
lord.
to watching Mario.
Awesome. Look
yeah,
out
well,
for
let us
part
know what
2.
you want to. Let us know if you
2024.
have any
2025.
that we've missed entirely. I am certain there's probably about 150 more. So
Oh,
we didn't
Oh,
even
dude,
touch on
I
Mortal
could
Kombat.
keep going
So
on fucking video game ones.
or Street Fighter.
Or Street
no,
Fighter.
No.
Did you guys see that
And
motherfucker?
there's more of
Jean-Claude
those
Van
coming as
Damme's
well.
Guile.
So and we have the new Mortal Kombat. There's another one of those coming. Yeah,
New
yeah.
Mortal Kombat,
So
yeah.
Maybe we do a part 2 next week. 850 likes and we'll do it.
yeah, I
Or
don't even
one,
like it. Just
whatever.
Yeah,
shit in my
just any.
backyard through the portaloos.
just drop a portal.
If I
in
get
his
one
yard.
random shit in my backyard, we're doing 3 parts.
They only paid for one ad. What are you doing?
Maybe they paid double.
We paid
I
for
don't know,
number
I don't
ones
check
and
the
number
bank.
twos.
Jason Discourse does no free shout outs. No free shout outs. except to tell you guys to please like and subscribe, because we know 50% of you are not subscribed, even though you watch us regularly. Check out the Patreon if you want to support us. There's something there. I don't know. If you feel like giving us your spare change, that's all that we've put up that you're allowed to give us. So see how that goes. Follow us on every possible medium, because I think we're on all of them, including Justin's OnlyFans account. And comment what adaptation you think shouldn't have happened and what you want to hear our thoughts on.
Future adaptions.
Or what you'd like to see.
Then give us 45 million and we'll do a better job than Dungeons & Dragons 2000. Dude,
Bruh,
honestly, $45 million, we'll make it happen. And we'll introduce the real Portaloo.
Dude, Tasmanian backdrop, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
we'll
snow.
Have snow episodes. Or snow movie. Flawless.
It's the snowy campaign.
Perfect.
All right.
See
Good.
yous.